You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, CBS Soap fans, we need to talk about something on Bold and the Beautiful. It's pretty clear right now that the soap is pushing Hope Logan towards Thomas Forrester. They've hinted at this over the years, but it just seems like it's a very active storyline that they are being pushed together, but there's only really one way that this can happen, and we're going to talk about that. There's only one scenario where this plays out in any way that anyone will accept. Right now on B&B, Hope Logan increasingly has her eyes on Thomas Forrester when he's not looking. On the most recent episode, she was peeping out at him from behind the screen, even when his back was turned. So that tells me she had to be checking out his body since she wasn't looking at his face. She also had told Paris, a few months back that she thought he was hot. And of course he is, right? That's the point. But the more she keeps talking about whether or not he still has a romantic interest in her, and she keeps bringing this up to him, the more she kind of seems interested in the idea. Rather than looking for reassurance, she seems to be almost mulling it over in her head. But given their very messy past, there's only one way that they can ever be together on Bold. Let's talk about it. So this week, we see Hope Logan falling into Thomas Forrester's arms, and that's starting a firestorm. So Hope Logan has got to explain to Liam Spencer why she's in Thomas Forrester's muscular arms when he walks in on them. She tripped on the hem of her gown when she was up on the little platform they stand to tailor gowns, and she fell, and Thomas caught her. And of course, that's right when Liam Spencer stormed into the design office. Hope was draped across her lead designer. She was almost straddling him. Meanwhile, Thomas actually had his hands up in the air. He wasn't touching her. His hands were kind of up in the air, like, not me, I didn't do this. But Liam immediately launches into a tirade accusing Thomas of having his hands all over his wife. And the only thing that Thomas was guilty of in that moment was just not letting her fall flat on her face when she took that misstep. But there's not one thing that Thomas can say to calm Liam down, because Liam came in hot. Remember, he had been sitting at Il Giardino with Wyatt Spencer, and Wyatt basically had worked him up about Thomas and kind of gotten him into an agitated state. And so Liam went over there already half pissed, right? And then he walked in and saw that, misread what happened, and starts hurling accusations. But think about what happened with both Thomas right before this and Hope right before this scene. Because we saw Brooke Logan talking to Hope Logan, and she said some very thought-provoking things that I don't necessarily know that she knows were thought-provoking at the time. So in a nutshell, Brooke basically confessed to all her bad decision-making about men and her attraction to naughty men. She even brought up the OG Stephanie Forrester calling her the slut of the valley, and Brooke basically admitted to skanky behavior. And then she told Hope how proud she was that she never behaved the way that she did. It was this weird backhanded compliment like, I'm so glad you're not slutty like I was. But instead of responding to her mother's bizarre praise, Hope seemed almost thoughtful on the matter, because she has only really been about Liam for the most part, and he is a tree-hugging waffle boy, good boy. There's not any kind of aroma of danger or intrigue coming off Liam Spencer, let's be honest. The only bad boy that's in her life is definitely Thomas. But at the same time that they were talking, do you remember where Thomas Forrester was? He was over in the CEO office talking to his dad, Rich Forrester. And that wound up with Thomas almost in tears. He told his father he never wants to let anyone down again. And he seemed completely sincere. Like, he seemed distraught at the idea of letting Ridge down, of letting Steffi down, of letting Hope down, of letting anyone down. And so this time, maybe the change that people want to see in Thomas has finally happened. But the problem is, Hope Logan now seems to be someone who's changing, and that could mean trouble for her marriage. And you might remember that when Hope was getting ready to try on the gown and do alterations, Brooke had said, I'll leave. And Thomas was like, no, you can stay. That's fine. He is being very transparent with Brooke. He apologized to her. He's being very open. He knows her concerns about him being alone with Hope and still working with Hope. And he promised that he would be good. And he invited her to stay. He wanted to demonstrate, I'm not up to anything. Feel free to stay. Brooke decided to go. And then Liam comes in hot and starts accusing them of things that didn't happen. After Liam's fit of rage, as we're going to see on Bold and the Beautiful, Hope is all worried about the state of their marriage, and she decides to set up a romantic evening for her and Liam. But we're almost kind of expecting that evening may not go that well, and that Liam might keep poking and poking and poking about Thomas, and she may not like that. She seems to be kind of low-key developing a crush on Thomas, but with everybody on guard about his behavior, there's no way that he is going to make a move on her. In fact, we almost expect that Thomas would do everything he can to keep from being seen as still obsessed with her or still attracted to her. But now maybe she's the one who's obsessed and attracted, because there's definitely this vibe. She's got her eyes on him. She's checking him out. But if the CBS soap writers want to pair Hope with Thomas, there's only one way they can make it happen. It has to be Hope Logan that initiates things with Thomas. Otherwise, everybody at Forrester Creations, everybody in both their families will think that he is somehow tricking her or gaslighting her, blackmailing her, or something nefarious. Okay? And it seems like that they are going the route of pairing Hope with Thomas, because they are just laying all this groundwork out in very specific ways on Bold and the Beautiful. There's no doubt Thomas Forrester is a hunk. He's tall, handsome, and a catch, if you can ignore his past issues of, gaslighting and all that sort of stuff, right? And there's little doubt that he still cares about Hope, despite his therapy sessions that are trying to make sure he doesn't fall back into that trap of being obsessed with her. But realistically, the only way that anyone will accept them as a couple is if it's Hope who decides she wants Thomas, and she's got to be the one to make it happen. What do you think? If that was the deal, if Hope decided she didn't want Liam anymore and she did want Thomas, and she was the person initiating the attraction, initiating the relationship, would you, as a fan of Bold and the Beautiful, accept that pairing?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.